Hey, what is up everyone? Matthew Gomez here, and for this video, I'm going to be showing you how to work the Proctor data. This is the program we use in order to keep track of the students that come in and want to take exams with us, maybe because the student was out for the day of a test, or they are enrolled in an online course and the professor requires that student to take the exam while being proctored. Whatever it may be, this program just really helps us out a lot. But before we get started, the very first thing you have to do is request the student to show some form of picture identification, whether it's a driver's license, student ID, etc., because we need to make sure that we got the actual student who is supposed to take an exam with us coming in and not some other student. Sometimes in the past, before the student taking the exam will get someone in their class who has already taken the exam to come in and do it with us, or they're gonna hire someone. I don't know, we've had a lot of crazy scenarios before, but yeah, just keep your guard up. Sometimes they may try to pull a fast one on you, so again, just be aware and be attentive. Now guys, next up, you want to head over to the black box that holds all the exams and look for the folder with the correct professor's name and class ID, and once you have done that, return to your station, and now begins the process of filling out the information. So on screen, this is the little main menu for the test proctoring, but we are only going to be using the first option, which is enter proctor data, so click on that. Now at the very top, you're going to notice it says form will automatically close in 5 minutes, and after that timer runs out, all your work is going to be erased here. But don't think that you're in a hurry, because that's one of the worst things you can do while entering the proctor data. There is a way to reset the timer, and all you have to do is click on the option to reset timer only. So when you are entering this information, you have to be aware of the time. I promise it's not going to be that hard, but keep in mind there is no rush to do this. Doing it at a slow pace and correctly is better than going fast and taking the risk of messing up the information. The first box you see here is for the proctor ID, which is going to be your banner ID, so find yours and click on it. Next, for the campus ID, this is the campus where the student is from. We do proctor exams from all over the Alamo colleges, so do keep that in mind. Ask the student if they attend SAC, Vista, St. Philip's. Again, make sure you enter this information right. Next up, for the faculty box, this is going to be for the professor of the class. It's all alphabetized by last name, but you can type in the box their last name, and I find that to be a lot easier for sure. All this information is going to be on the form that you get with the exam, by the way. So once you have done that, type in the course ID. Again, this is also going to be on the form with the exam, and below that, type in the class section number. After that, we do need the student's banner ID, and this may sometimes be on the form too, or maybe on a separate sheet of paper. Again, make sure it's correct. You do not want to mess up a number, because it may put in a student who should not be taking the exam. Next up, for the description box, this tells us what type of exam the student is taking. It doesn't have to be fancy or anything. We just want to know if it's like quiz 4 or test number 3, test number 2, final exam. Enter whatever the professor has written down on the form. For the test location, don't worry about that, because the proctor can enter the location in the proctoring room. And then for the locker number, head over to the black box again and pick out a key and enter the number on that same key in this box. For the duration, this is the time the student has in order to take the exam, and you have to enter that time in minutes. So say the student has 1 hour to take the exam, then on the box here, you're going to type in 60 minutes, so put in 60 on the box. This does require some math sometimes, but it's not really that hard math, of course. And finally, for the last step, you need to check the little form that the professor gives us, and at the very bottom, you'll see a list of instructions and rules the student has, such as if they are allowed to take breaks during the exam, or if they are allowed to use a textbook or a calculator. You need to read off these rules to the student just to be sure they are aware of them. So for example, I'm going to read off to the student. So for this exam, you are not allowed to use a calculator. You are not allowed to use a textbook. You can use reference material, which would be your list of formulas. You are allowed to use scratch paper, but you must turn them into us. And you can take one break during the exam, but only for 5 minutes. Something like that is just a little example of what you could say to the student. But again, check these boxes if the professor allows the student to do any one of these things. So say if the student is taking a math test and they are allowed a calculator, then you need to check the box that says the student can use a calculator. Or if the student is allowed a restroom break, you have to check that box. And yeah, after that, you're pretty much done. All you need to do is click save record and then tell the student to follow me and show them to their locker, and in that locker they have to put in their cell phones, backpack, purses, any personal belongings. They all have to go inside that locker. If they don't fit, then we can put them behind the desk area. It's also really important to let the student know that they are not allowed to use any cell phones during the exam whatsoever. And yeah, that's how you proctor a student. And if you have any questions about anything or you need help with something, come get a work study who has already done this, or the supervisor, or even myself, and we will help you guys out. And yeah, that's going to be it for the video. I'll see everyone in the lab, and goodbye.